Well, good evening, everyone. This is Deidre Kindred, your nurse advocate, here again this evening with another wonderful friend on Health Chats Among Friends. I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Dr. Melissa Oden. Say hi, Melissa.
Hi, how's everybody?
Everybody should be great.
Yeah,
Yay!
yay! Everybody should be great.
we
Yes,
like we like to have fun on our chats. So,
yes,
Melissa, tell us something about you tonight, and we'll get into our topic of discussion.
sure. So, I am Dr. Melissa Oden, or at least on most days that I'm aware of, and I own a public health education business. And actually, there's two components to the business. One is a public health project management piece, and I help clients who are trying to leverage their time and staffing when they have grants and things like that that they need to administer. And then the other side of the business is an online health education piece. So I'm sure we're going to get more into that in just a little bit, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, so those are the two areas that I focus on, and it keeps me incredibly busy.
And I love it. I know you love it.
Yeah, I do. I love it
So,
a lot.
so tell us about more about the educational healthcare educational platform you have.
So basically, I've been a natural health practitioner for 20 years, and I'm also a certified health education specialist. So my experience kind of runs the gamut of both Eastern and Western medicine, allopathic and natural health. And so I tap into both of those things to be able to help people. Actually, the tagline of my company is helping people heal. And so that's really what all of that is about. I really want people to understand how to be the healthiest people they can be, especially right now when our immune systems seem to be under attack. And so there are really practical ways that you can handle that, both from a alternative and from an allopathic viewpoint. And so I bring those together and do classes, and I have Wellness Wednesday that I do. That's just a really quick check-in Facebook Live, just to kind of give people some ideas of how they can stay well. Most every other Tuesday, I do Tip Tuesday, which is a super quick check-in, just to say, here's a little tip for you today. Take this, chew on it. Go live your best life with this little tip. And so I just really, really want people to understand how their bodies work, how these body systems that we have work, and what they can do to become healthier people.
That's wonderful. So why? What's your why behind that? Was it something personal that got you into doing that, or do you want to
Yeah,
share?
so I was diagnosed at the age of 24 with stage 4 endometriosis. Let's just go to the worst possible stage you can get by the time you're diagnosed. And I'm pretty sure that I'd had it since I was 12. But back in the day, we did not really know what endometriosis was. We didn't really have a name for it, if you will. And so when I started my cycles in, 82, I guess, nobody knew what that meant. When people finally started realizing what was happening, they called it the career woman's disease. So a teenager like myself would never have been diagnosed with something like that
Right.
because I wasn't a career woman at the time. So it was 12 years that I suffered from very, very painful menstrual cycles before they finally realized what was wrong. And at that point, Western medicine had failed me. It had failed me. I had been misdiagnosed. I'd been put on a birth control pill that was very high estrogen. Anyone who knows anything about endometriosis knows that it feeds like wildfire on estrogen. You just can't do that. And so I have a feeling that's part of the reason why by the time I was 24 that it was so bad. It was because I was being given hormones that were not good for me. So by the time I got all that straightened out and realized what was happening, I got to the point where I felt like I didn't want other women to have to suffer like I had. After I'd done some homework, and this was really before the internet was hot, right? You still had to go and buy books. You had to go, like, you couldn't go on Amazon and buy like, I had to go to Barnes and Noble and buy these books, right? And I had to look it up through libraries and stuff like that. So I did not have what we have today. So my whole goal was really to create a company where I could be in OB-GYN's offices and help these women and educate them about what endometriosis was. Now, granted, this was in 1997. I was 27 years old. We didn't have what we have today. And so I wasn't done with my education, and I didn't realize the path I was going to have to walk to get here. So long story short, I spent a lot of time in pain. I spent a lot of time dealing with chronic illness. And I just I was very fortunate that I had an OB-GYN that has walked with me since I was 17 years old. And he was the one who partnered with me and said, let's get you through this. And by the time he did my tubal ligation at the age of 33, after he'd done all my endo surgeries, he woke me up after surgery and said, I don't know what it is that you've been doing, but it's been working, and keep it up, which meant a whole lot to me because he saw me before and he saw me after, and it was all the natural health stuff that I've been doing. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so it really encouraged me to really ramp things up. And so that was, so initially at 27, I went into remission. At 33, he checked everything and he was like, you're fine now. And so I'd been in remission for about 20 years before I finally came out of remission when I was about 45 or 46 and ended up having a hysterectomy, which most women with endometriosis do. I don't want people to think that, you know, I escaped that because, you know, that's just normal. And so I was kind of expecting it at some point. I just didn't know when. I was very fortunate that I didn't have to have it till I was 47. So most women don't get that lucky. So, but my whole point is I had a physician who partnered with me and who really worked with me and my ideas and what I felt like was good for me. And so I know that most women aren't that fortunate. And so I want to be that person for them. Now, just to be clear, the doctor in front of my name is not physician, right? I do have a DHMD. Well, I don't want anybody to think I'm an MD, right? But my doctorate's in health education. I have a master's in social work, a master's in public health, and I'm a certified health education specialist. So not only do I have the school of hard knocks and experience, but I do have the academic backing. So when I say I want to stand in for women, I don't mean as their MD. I just mean as their advocate. And you know all about advocacy because that's what you do. But I want to be their advocate, and I want to be their health educator, and I want them to be able to do the same thing I did and go to their doctor and say, I want to partner with you to get better. And so, you know, realistically speaking, because we know endometriosis is a chronic disease. So, but you can live a very healthy life. I mean, you can live a very, very healthy, productive life, you know, with endo. And that's what I want to let women know, that you don't have to live in pain. There are ways to address that. So that's my short story.
Well, you hit on some other topics that I was very tempted not to deviate from our topic tonight, because that finding a partner with your doctor, you know, that's so important. So we may have to like tag that and then come back to that at another date, because we can go on and on about how important it is finding the right partnerships in healthcare.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Because the truth of the matter is, no one is going to help you get well but you. That's the truth of the matter.
Start with you. Right. Right. So I wanted to talk tonight too about women and stress, especially during this season that we're in, because we're not in a normal, getting ready to go into a normal holiday season. We're getting ready to go into a season that we're taking COVID with us, because I feel like it's going to be here for a while, and we're going to have to adjust and until it decides to run its course. So with that being said, what would be some great tips or advice for women in stress during this season?
So first of all, let me just let your listeners and your viewers know that stress is the #1 killer of women. It is not breast cancer. It is not, it's not anything else. In fact, heart disease really, but heart disease is brought on. It can be brought on by stress. And for most of us, it is. Most of us don't have heart disease as a genetic makeup of us, right? It's mostly heart disease is developed later, you know, after these long periods of stress. Now, the reason that it hits women harder is because of the way we're physiologically made. I'm not saying that men don't, that they're not affected by stress. They are, but it is in a very, very different way than women. Women take it literally physically. Because of the way we're made, we internalize it more. And so when we don't find ways to let that go, it manifests itself physically in all different sorts of illnesses, right? So first thing that we need to really think about is thinking about our thinking. What are we thinking about? What is our perspective? I don't know about you, and you may be in the same boat with me, but I have spent the last 7 or 8 months really thinking about my life and really thinking about where I'm going and why I'm here, what I'm doing. Pre-COVID, things were nutso, like crazy insane. And they are now too, but it's a different kind. I've got it a little bit more controlled. And that's because I've gained some perspective over the last few months.
Yeah.
And so I think the number one thing that we can do really to help us mitigate some of this stress and get ready to go into this crazy season, the holidays, is self-awareness. Where are you? You know, what are you thinking about? How are you feeling about things? Write it down. Journaling is my favorite thing. It may not be yours, but find a different way to get those thoughts and feelings out. If you have to sit at the computer and do it, that's fine. But there are studies after studies after studies that show when you can write things down and get them out, it's much more therapeutic than if you type things out. There's just this connection between your brain and your hand, right? Mm-hmm. So I would say number one thing is to really be self-aware. What are you feeling? And really tell the truth. That would be the second thing, is tell the truth to yourself about yourself. You know, what is it that you're actually doing with this life that you've been given, right? Yeah. What really is important to you? And I will guarantee you that most people at this point will say it is absolutely family. And we are going into a family season. And so, you know, how are we going to handle this? You know, what are we going to do to nurture those relationships for those of us who are going to be getting together with our families? Some of you may not be able to, and that's okay. You do what you feel like is best for you. But for those of us who are going to be with our families, what do we really want to focus on at this point? You know, what's the most important thing? It's not the food, although, listen, I love a good meal. I really do. But it really is nurturing those relationships and things like that. So again, self-awareness, and then really tell yourself the truth about who you are and what you want. And then third, figure out how to mitigate that stress. What works for you? What works for me are my afternoon walks. Every day at 4:30, except for today. I get out and I go walk. Well, today was not a normal day by any stretch of the imagination, but every day at 4:30 for the most part, about 4 days a week, I get out to the Trinity Trails and I go walk. And the first few times I did it, it was kind of weird. I thought, what am I doing, you know, by myself, right? I usually like to be with people. But it turns out that I look forward to that the most in my day. That is the thing I look so forward to, because it is time for me to just forget everything that's going on in the office and try to forget everything else and just be out there with the trails and my music and just me.
So you walk at 4:30 in the morning?
No, afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Afternoon. Girl, you know I'm not a morning person. You know I'm a night owl. So yeah, I stop what I'm doing at 4:30 every day and I go out and I get that walk in and I get that connection with nature, and I get, you know, there in natural health, we have this thing called grounding, and that is literally when you put your feet on the ground. And if it wasn't for the fact that people let their dogs poop out there, I would actually take my shoes off and walk in that grass, because it's so good for you to be able to feel that and to ground, you know. And so, well, we have fun here, do we not, Miss Deidre?
Yes. I was getting ready to say something else, but that's okay.
I'm just being honest. So those walks have been really, so how do you mitigate your stress? What do you do to eliminate that toxic stress that can build up inside of you? You know, do you cook? Do you talk to a friend on the phone? Do you take a bubble bath? Do you go see a therapist? I mean, listen, there are, for as many different ways as women are stressed, there are that many different ways to be able to mitigate stress. And it really is what's best for you and how you can handle those things. So, you know, as you're thinking about that, this is where you have to really be honest with yourself. If you don't like walking, then don't go do that. It's just going to be stressful for you. Get some sort of exercise every day. That would be the last thing I would say, is really do try to get some sort of exercise every day. There is something that what kind of exercise do you like to do?
Me?
When you get to do it, what do you like?
I love cardio.
Okay. Yeah. So you know as well as I do, when those endorphins start popping, that high, it's not just a runner's high. It really has everything to do with those endorphins and what is happening in your brain. Yeah. It takes me about 10 minutes to settle down, especially if I've had a busy day, but I'm about 20 minutes into my walk and I can feel it. It's like, ooh, This
Yeah.
feels really,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
Right?
But I want to go back to something too, because this is great topic. Okay. So first of all, you mentioned mindset.
Yes.
And then secondly, you mentioned being honest. And then third, what was the third one? Remind me again. Because fourth is exercise.
Yeah, well, just find how you mitigate your stress. So it
Right.
doesn't, so that part doesn't have to be exercise. It is for me.
Yeah.
But so find out how you best mitigate that stress and get rid
Right.
of it. And then the fourth would be exercise. Yeah.
But so I want to say something about that because, women in stress. So women who are type A, always going,
Yeah.
always got something to do. I can be honest and say before COVID, I would negate me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy to do XYZ. Fill in the blank. I'm too busy to exercise. I'm too busy to do a puzzle and kind of relax. I'm too busy to read a book. I'm too busy to journal. I'm too busy to whatever it was. Then COVID hit and it became, I have the time. I have the time to develop those. It's all about mindset.
Yes.
So that's so true. I'm so happy you started off with that because it's mindset. So now during COVID and post COVID, it's like, oh, I have to do my exercise. So that was one of my goals at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of the year, us, you know, type A, we set
Yes.
these goals and da 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 da. And then 90% of you go to the gym. And then by March, you're not going to the gym anymore because it was some type of excuse. So I have a wonderful roommate, accountability partner, my baby sister. And we just said in March when things were, kind of like, let's get serious. We have the time. And
Yes.
so let's get serious and create a plan. So we started making little minute changes and being accountability partners. It was all about that mindset. And then we started implementing healthy eating and learning
Mm-hmm.
ways to cook healthy food. Then we started implementing reading uh, motivational devotional and personal development books together. We call it coffee and prayer.
Love
So we
it.
have that every morning. Every morning. If she's out of town, we're calling each other up and we're having it. So I like the accountability part. Mindset, being honest with yourself because it's okay. If you don't like to exercise, find something else. If you don't like to journal, find something else. I mean, the sky is the limit now
Right.
with all
Yeah.
these, opportunities that we have.
Yeah.
So
And
stress,
before anybody thinks that I have always, been on with my walks, because I really haven't. That is my exercise drug of choice. But you're right. In March, that's when I picked it back up. You had the time. I had to get out of those four walls that I was in at the
right?
time, right? And so the weather was beautiful. I lived 2 minutes from the Trinity Trails. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go and do this. I'm just going to go and do it. And by the end of the first week, I was like, wow, I can't not do this,
Mm,
because I was transitioning out of a stressful job. The pandemic itself is enough to stress anybody out, even if you have no other stress going on. I mean, that's a stressor enough. And
mm-hmm.
so, I really recommitted to doing those walks. And so you can stop and start, and no one's judging you here.
Right, right.
If you haven't been doing it for a while, pick it back up, whatever it is that's
Yeah.
good for you. I've been studying women in stress for probably a little bit over a decade now. I wrote my master's thesis on it, and in fact, it was funny because one of the signs that women are stressed is that you start losing hair. And
Oh,
during that entire year that I was writing that master's thesis, I developed a bald spot in my head because I was so stressed. So I was really personally feeling those particular things that I was reading about and studying about and working with other women about. And so I've just really integrated that into my practice. And in fact, I've got an online course rolling out in January. Women in Stress is just the reboot of that original piece that I wrote for my master's thesis. And so if anybody is interested in that, we can talk about that later. But I do
definitely.
believe that now's the time that we really need to revisit that topic because of everything that's
Right.
going on. I
Right.
think women in particular need some new tools to, it's not really just about bubble bath and chocolate and wine anymore. That used to be okay.
That's
We're
still okay.
It is okay, but we really need to dig deeper down into what
Yes.
because to your point, we need to dig down deeper
Hmm.
into what self-care really
Right.
looks like,
Yeah.
right?
Stop
Um,
denying ourselves, you know.
yes, yes, and we're the worst. We're the worst if
Oh,
we take care
yes.
of everybody else but ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about that, but we can certainly, talk about that in a little bit if you want.
Yes, I definitely want to talk about that because you mentioned that you have little snippets on Tuesday, and then I want to talk about your Wednesdays.
Wednesday wellness, yeah.
Is that every
Yeah.
Wednesday?
Yeah, yes, for the most part. When I'm traveling, it's a little bit harder to do it, but I do try and do it every Wednesday. And it's on my Facebook page, which is Health Education Resources Network. That's the Facebook page, and it's a public page. You can like that. Now, my private page, which is my online classroom, is called Helping People Heal, which again is the tagline of my business. So I thought that was kind of fun. But that's my online classroom where some other classes are going to start happening starting this month, actually. And kicking off on Thursday, I have a fall cleanse challenge. I don't know if you've been seeing me post things about that or not, but there's going to be a 7-day challenge starting on Thursday. And it really is kind of leading you up to that online course that's going to happen in January for women in stress. So we're going to take 7 days and do 7 little bitty things to help you kind of move your life forward. And the whole cleanse part of it comes from the natural health world, where we cleanse in the fall and the spring, typically in October and March. Guess what month this is? It's October. And so you cleanse in October to get ready for the winter months, to get your body ready for the winter months, and then you cleanse in the spring to get yourself ready for summer, much like you would do your house, right? You
Right.
fall clean, or at least I do. You fall
Yeah.
clean and you spring clean, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You're cleaning up, but I'm taking that concept and I'm kicking it up about 6 more levels. And so we're going to do a physical cleanse, a real easy one, but there's also 6 other areas that we're going to look at during this next week. And so if you want to join me for that, it's free. And a lot of times when you start moving just little bitty things in your life, your stress levels start coming way down. And so all of these things are feeding into how can I help people really kind of de-stress right now. And so if you're interested, it's free. It'll start Thursday night at 7:30, and you can learn all about it. There's a free workbook that you're going to get. You can win prizes. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're looking for just little bite-sized ways to start lowering that stress level and really starting to tell yourself the truth about who you are and becoming more self-aware, I would invite you to come and join us for that cleanse challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
And so, how do they get that to that again?
So go to Facebook and go to Health Education Resources Network. And you can just like that page, and you'll get all the information starting Thursday night. And in fact, there's an event that I just reposted today on that page. So you can go to the event and you can click that you're interested or that you're going or whatever it is that you want to do, and you will get that information.
Awesome, awesome. So, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, is it through Facebook, or do you have another platform that you like to get people?
You can certainly find me through Facebook, again at that Health Education Resources Network page, or the Helping People Heal page, and that's all capitals with dots in between it. So HEAL, which by the way also stands for the values of my company, but we can talk about that at another time. You can email me at melissa@drmelissaoden.com. You can call my office if you want, which no one does anymore because we like to text. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are really the two of the best ways, either Facebook or email. I'm also on LinkedIn at Dr. Melissa Oden, so you can reach me there as well. But if you'd like, I can send you that information to post with your recording, or however you
Awesome.
want to do that. I'm more than happy to do
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Oden. This has been such a fun chat. I mean, we
that. It
could go
has been.
on, but I don't want to.
Yeah, we can.
I want to have you back because I want to hone
Absolutely.
in on maybe a subject that needs to be talked about. And I'm so happy that you were able to come at this time because what we want people to leave with, especially women, is that there are stress relievers. You don't
Yeah,
have to take that all on and put yourself at risk because our bodies talk to us.
Yes,
You mentioned the
yes.
hair loss. Some women are saying, oh, I'm losing hair, or maybe they're gaining weight, because stress can cause, eating things that we normally shouldn't be eating. And that's a way of our bodies telling us. So if you're doing something that you normally wouldn't do, that's your way of your body saying, warning, warning,
Yes.
warning.
Hello. And
Right.
I would leave your viewers and your listeners with this, and especially women. I want you to hear me very clearly that you have choices. You are not stuck where you are. You are not a tree. You can move. And
Right.
so sometimes what we need is just somebody to help us along just a little bit, just to get that process started. And so that's part of what I like to do with women as well. Is just really kind of identify those really small areas where you could make some quantum leaps without having to really upset the apple cart too much, and just kind of see those changes gradually. So please understand that you do have choices. Please feel encouraged by that. And,
Yes.
please find somebody in your tribe that will remind you of that, because I think that's the most important thing in terms of mindset when you're looking at lowering your stress levels.
Right, right, absolutely. And another way to get a tribe is attend one of Melissa's sessions. You never know who you may
Absolutely.
meet, right?
E-
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's all about that
Exactly.
accountability, that a partnership, that encouragement, that you go, girl. We all have our days when we're like, okay, I don't want to do that. I just don't. But if you have somebody cheering you in your corner, that makes
That's
a big
right.
difference.
And I'll be beta testing. I'll be doing a pilot program for women in stress sometime between now and Christmas before it starts in January. So again, if you're interested in that program where you can kind of get in and hear a little bit about what's going to be happening over that multi-week program in January, then again, email me at drmelissaoden.com, or you can reach out to me on Facebook at Health Education Resources Network.
Yes, please. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Melissa Oden. And thank you,
Thank you.
guys. Yes, this was fun.
It's
Well,
been a
thank you,
pleasure.
guys. Awesome. Well, my name is Deidre Kindred. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator. I love bringing you reputable healthcare resources and information each and every week. So, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time on Health Chats Among Friends. Have a good evening.